Hi, my name is Alex, and this is 7th grade math, lesson 29. So for this first part, we're given x equals 5, y equals 6, and z equals 7, and we have to evaluate the expressions. So for number 1, we have 2x plus 2y plus 2z, but we're given the value of these variables here, so we can just plug them in. So number 1 will be 2 times 5, because x equals 5, plus 2 times 6, plus 2 times 7. And as you can see, we just substituted these values into the variables. So 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 7 is 14. So 10 plus 12 plus 14, we have 22 plus 14, which is also just 36. Okay. For the next problem, we have x plus 2y plus 3z. So can simplify this so that when we plug it in, it becomes 5 plus 2 times 6 plus 3 times 7, which means this becomes 5 plus 12 because 2 times 6 plus 21, which is 3 times 7. So we have 5 plus 12 plus 21, so 17 plus 21 is 38. Okay. For this next part, we have to simplify rational expressions, find the excluded values. So for number 1, we have x plus 8 over 10x. Now we can't simplify anything here. Why? Because x plus 8 over 10x. There's no common factors in the numerator that we could simplify. So the excluded values are talking about at what values of x will this be undefined. So if we think about it, the only way that a fraction will be undefined is if the denominator is 0. So what we can do is set the denominator, or 10x, equal to 0 and solve for x. So divide both sides by 10, but it doesn't matter because it's 0, so x will equal 0. So our excluded value is 0, x equals 0. And if you look, if we plug in 0 into this equation or expression, we have 0 plus 8 over 10 times 0. This is also equal to 8 over 0. We can't divide a number by 0, which means it's undefined. So this is why x equals 0 is going to be our answer for number 1. Number 2, we have 2 over 2y plus 14. Okay, so same thing here, it's a fraction. So we have to find when the denominator is equal to 0. So move the 14 over, so it becomes 2y equals negative 14. Divide both sides by 2, so it becomes y equals negative 7 for our excluded value. Number 3, we have 4v over v squared minus 9. Okay. Same thing, it's a fraction, so set this denominator equal to 0. But if you look, we can either do two things. We can move the 9 over and square root both sides so that it becomes v equals plus or minus square root of 9, or just plus or minus 3. But here we can also just factor, so it becomes v minus 3 plus v plus 3 equals 0. So same thing, v equals plus or minus 3. Number 7 here, we have 2c over c plus 5. And same thing, it's a fraction. So we have to set this equal to 0 to find our excluded value. So c is going to equal negative 5. Okay, 8, we have 2s squared plus 8s all over 3s plus 12. Now we could simplify this or make it look a little bit neater. Because if you look, we could factor out in the numerator a 2s so that this becomes s plus 4. And the denominator, we could factor out a 3. So it becomes 3 times s plus 4. If you look, these cancel out. We have an s plus 4 on the top and an s plus 4 on the bottom. So this will equal 2s over 3. But this means that s cannot equal to negative 4 because s plus 4 equals 0. S is going to equal negative 4. Okay. This next portion, we have to multiply and divide the rational expressions. So for number 1, we have x plus 2 over x times 3 over x squared. Now, if we want to multiply this, we could just cross multiply. So this becomes x, or excuse me, not cross multiply. We could just multiply it straight. So it becomes 3x plus 2 x cubed. Okay. Number 2, we have x over x minus 1 divided by 4 minus x, or 4 divided by x. So from here, we can make it so that it becomes multiplying the reciprocal because this is also the same as just dividing. So if we multiply this out, it becomes x squared over 4 times x minus 1.